Welcome to episode 1 of Celtic Sagas and Law. I'm your host, Martin Von Watkin. You'll have to excuse me, but I'm still a bit croaky. But I've been asked to do these by popular demands. Anybody's asking for them, so I thought I'd start. Now, long before the internet, long before cinema, TV, radio, record, or even the written word, there was the spoken word, the most ancient form of storytelling. Now, the Celts are have a very, very rich cultural history of storytelling. And although many of our legends are written down, to experience them is best done in their original form. Now, this is best done by a gifted storyteller around a fire at a camp, or on a cold winter's evening next to a fire with a nice drink in a pub. But that's not always possible, because there are very few of us Celtic storytellers about. And so what I would like to do with these episodes is give you a taste of the oral tradition through the story, so you can get a little bit more of it. Plus, it's a bit more convenient to carry an iPod around than a campfire. So I'd like to do 2 stories for you today. One is one of the more common stories, that of Gelert, and the second one is of Cribbeth, the giant, which is a lesser known story and is more locally known. So, the story of Gelert. Now, Prince Llewellyn was one of the true princes of Wales, and he liked to hunt. And his favourite hound was called Gelert, who was a big, strong, noble, loyal dog. So one fateful day, Prince Llewellyn turned to his huntsman, as he and his men were on their horses, gathered ready for the hunt in the courtyard of his castle, and instructed his huntsman to blow the horn to call the hounds. So the huntsman blew, and the hounds came running and waiting to go. But there was no sign of Gelert, so he blew again. There was still no sign of Gelert. So he instructed the huntsman to blow as loud as he could, which he did. And with that, Gelert came running from one of the doorways and leading into the main castle. As Prince Llewellyn looked down, he saw that the dog's muzzle was covered in blood. Fearing something had happened to his favourite hound, he jumped off his horse and examined Gelert's muzzle. And it appeared that the blood was not Gelert's, but another one. So one of his men pointed a trail of blood leading from where Gelert had come from. So they followed the trail of blood into the main castle, and it led to the bed chambers. With growing concern, Prince Llewellyn and his men followed the trail into Prince Llewellyn's infant son room. When they entered, the room had been trashed totally. There was no sign of his infant son, but the furniture was smashed and overturned, the drapes were ripped, tapestries dragged down, and there was blood everywhere. At a moment of impulse, Prince Llewellyn thought that Gelert had killed and eaten his son, so he drew his sword, screamed in rage, and stabbed Gelert in the heart. Gelert looked up in disbelief, grief and hurt that his master gave a pitiful yelp and died. With that, a very faint baby's cry was heard. And they looked round and saw in the corner a cot overturned, and there was his infant son lying unharmed. But lying next to him was the body of a wolf that must have somehow got into the castle and tried to eat Prince Llewellyn's son. But Gelert, being the noble, brave hound that he was, saved his son and fought bravely. Prince Llewellyn was beside himself with grief and anguish. He took Gelert's body out of the castle, up to a green meadow, and instructed his men to bury his faithful hound, and built a grave, monument shrine to his faithful hound. The monument became to be known as Berth Gelert, which translates as Gelert's grave. Over time, a town called Beth Gelert grew up around the shrine. It can be seen to this day along with the shrine if you visit North Wales. That's the first of our tales. The second tale is that of Cribbeth the giant. Now, Cribbeth was one of King Arthur's men. He fought bravely with the others, fighting off hordes of invaders. But Cribbeth, being of his magical nature, was both a great warrior, but a great wooer of the ladies. And as you can imagine, the men, although they loved Cribbeth, took exception to this, but no one was brave enough to challenge him. So the men had a dilemma. So they went to Meredith, which is the proper name for Merlin, and told him of their dilemma. Merlin said he would speak to Cribbeth. So Meredith had a word with Cribbeth. Cribbeth understood, and he said, "Lord Meredith, I will sleep until the time I am needed again." So he lay down on a hill and went to sleep, and over time moss and rock grew over him. And as time passed, King Arthur also went to sleep until he was needed again, the once and future king. Now, unlike conventional, classical Arthurian lore, the original Welsh, King Arthur sleeps in a cave in the Neath Valley, which is the one over from the Swansea Valley. But that's a tale for another day. Now, if you travelled north from Swansea on the south Welsh coast, you will travel up towards the mountains of the Brecon Beacons to the north, and you will come to a small town called Ystrad. And as you enter the town, you go up a hill, and then, if you're lucky on a clear day, you can see Cribbeth lying there as he waits for the call from his once and future king again. Well, I hope you enjoyed these two short tales. I shall do more to come, a mix from our cultures. One's like Cribbeth, the lesser known tales, and one's more like Gelert or the Children of Lair or Kate Nutcracker from our Celtic cousins. So I will be posting on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Both can be reached from my website, which is www.martin-thedruid.webs.com. If you could like the Facebook page, there's some more pictures of Cribbeth the Mountain and Beth Gelert. If you could like the page and subscribe to the channel, I'd be very grateful. And thank you very much for listening, and I hope to catch you again in episode 2, which I hope to do about our Celtic lake monsters, other than the Loch Ness Monster. Thanks. Bye for now.